Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Rocket Matter webinar. My name is Nefra McDonald. I'm the Business Development and Strategic Partnership Coordinator here at Rocket Matter. And today we'll be talking about essential tips for avoiding missed deadlines and malpractice suits. Please put any questions you have in the GoToWebinar questions widget, and we'll be sure to get to them during the presentation if time allows. We'll also be sending out the recording and slides tomorrow around noon Eastern, so look out for those. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Carolyn Groh. She's the co-owner and VP of Sales at Law Toolbox, which is an all-in-one cloud-based court rules calendaring provider and docketing system that was founded in the late 90s. And Carol has been in legal technology for more than 15 years and has managed global procurement teams for IBM. She's also an avid supporter of women in technology, and I just found out she speaks fluent Japanese, which is pretty cool. So welcome, Carolyn. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nefra. I'm so excited to be here. You know, we have been in touch with the Rocket Matter folks since early days and are just, I can't tell you how excited we are to see this integration and to be partnering with such an awesome company.
Yeah, we're thrilled in the same ways. So Carolyn's going to tell us a little bit about how malpractice claims are distributed among the attorney profession.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start by talking about missed deadlines are the #1 cause of malpractice claims against attorneys. And the reality is that by and large, most law firms are manually calculating each individual deadline one at a time and then adding them to their calendars as individual appointments. And this truly leads to a chance for error and typos. So we'll talk a little bit more about insurance malpractice credits that apply. And before we go into that, we'll talk a little bit about where do we see malpractice claims. So as you might imagine, in the first two rows here, the solo and the 2 to 5 person firm, those folks are really making up the largest group of people getting hit by malpractice claims. Interestingly, you can see that the 2 to 5 person firm, just small enough to not have to not necessarily be implementing all the right technology, but big enough to have enough people that there gets confusion and there's not centralized, structured, matter-based, repeatable methods for managing deadlines. And that's, I think, has a lot to do with why we see such a higher risk factor for missing deadlines and malpractice for attorneys. But it really applies across the board. Now, when we look at different practice areas, at the top of the list is the personal injury plaintiff attorney folks. So as you can see, whether you're looking at the plaintiff side of personal injury or the defense side, there you definitely see quite a bit of malpractice occurring there. Real estate, family law are also major areas of concern for people and attorneys that might be at risk of malpractice claims.
Carolyn, do you think that's true for personal injury because of how high volume those practices typically are?
So, it really has to do with, I think it's a number of different factors. It has to do with high volume. It has to do with, just the nature of the beast in terms of the type of practice and the exposure. But yeah, I would definitely say perhaps it has something to do with that. It also, sometimes you'll run into a variety of early, people starting their career in personal injury. I mean, I think some of the most sophisticated, most profitable firms around are in personal injury and some of the most experienced folks out there, but it is made up of some of the newbies that just come right out of school, and they get started in family law and they get started in personal injury.
That makes sense.
All right, so now when you talk about missed deadlines being the #1 cause, it really is made up of a lot of different things that you see on this screen. It's about not understanding the deadline, not getting it into your system, typos, not reacting to it if you see it, because perhaps there's not enough, there aren't enough redundant reminder type systems. It has to do with perhaps not knowing that the law exists, because let's face it, a lot of these deadlines can take hours to generate and understand and truly internalize some of the subtle nuances about when you're adding, when you file by fax or e-service and you add 3 days here and you don't do it there, and then you roll forward when it's, to the next business day, which might be Monday, unless it's a holiday and you forgot it's Martin Luther. There's all these complexities. So getting the law right and understanding your deadline is a big area. So it all really builds up and becomes the #1 cause of malpractice and the #1 worry that keeps attorneys up late at night and not back home at the end of their workday. So why does this happen? Why are deadlines as hard as they are, and why is calendaring such a challenge for the legal profession? Let's dig into that a little bit. When you think of it from the context of a rule-based calendaring system, it needs to be easy to get those deadlines in, and making it at your fingertips, where you're relying on the latest rules based on any of the recent rule changes that are in place makes it a whole lot easier. The ability to centralize, some of the bigger firms that I talk to will say, just a single component of getting all of the information into one central repository changes everything for us. Having access to a backup, I can't tell you how many times people have had to recreate their calculator, their calendars. Taking it a level deeper to understand the local rules and the rule changes. I mean, I believe a lot of you on the phone worry about, has there been a rule change? Well, have I checked, or who checked in my firm? Maybe our checklist that we have where we're manually generating the deadlines hasn't been updated in 6 months or a year, or perhaps even longer. Procrastination, of course, is just that, getting those deadlines in front of you on your mobile devices, in your practice management, in all of your different places, prevents you from procrastinating, because whether you want it or not, it's popping up at you and reminding you. The ability to easily share deadlines across the right people, and not make it a chore where you have to send out individual invites or go clean up somebody's calendar, but a one swift click of a button and you've added one staff and removed another, so that you're not cluttering up the previous staff person's calendar with deadlines that don't apply, so that when they look at their calendar, they see the deadlines that really apply for their caseload. I can't tell you how critical and strategic what we hear from our customers, the component of cleaning up the clutter and only giving me the deadlines that apply to me. And then the last bullet here really talks to that whole typo component. I believe I had a typo in my own personal calendar when I was scheduling my weekend plans, and caused some commotion for my friends. So I wish I had a way to have prevented my personal Saturday night plans there. So typos are a big piece of it. Alrighty. Horror stories. Everybody loves to talk about that case where somebody forgot, they filed their notice to remove to federal court late, and now they lost that option. Certificate of review is a tricky deadline that honestly so many folks don't remember. They know about that rule. They know that if there's a professional, a lawyer, a doctor, that they need to file this certificate of review type of a deadline, but it's just not something that they're in the habit of. And I've got lawyers here and paralegals, legal staff on the phone, so you know what these are, and I'm sure they're conjuring up a little bit of concern as you're thinking about it right now. But one of the things a good docketing system does is it doesn't just feed you the critical deadlines based on the court rules, but in the case of that fourth bullet, they're hiring an expert too late. Providing you, good systems will allow you to force in some suggested dates to consider doing that hiring of that expert, so that you're not scrambling right before you need to be filing those pleadings. So, some helpful tips. With the combination of Rocket Matter and La Toolbox rules-based calendaring, you're bringing together a systematic way to generate deadlines. You're bringing redundancy. You're centralizing data, and that is going to prevent a whole lot of missed deadlines and risk of that. Adding an individual date, even if it's a a reminder in this case to check to see how things are going on this case. Perhaps there are no upcoming deadlines. Perhaps you want to be checking in with your client. So that's an important thing to do. The minute you get those deadlines, they come into your inbox. We've made it easy for you with Rocket Matter and La Toolbox. So just take that one extra step, plug in that trial date or whatever the date is, the motion, and see those deadlines spin out and update to your calendars. Make sure all attorneys and non-attorneys can see the deadlines for the cases they're involved in and are accountable. And give yourself enough time. Don't procrastinate.
One thing I'll add to the procrastination bit there, Carolyn, is failure to act or failure to react to a calendar is one of those fields that the ABA takes into account in those statistics you showed earlier. And even with the best technology or no errors, if you're still avoiding or dismissing the deadlines, there might be a bigger problem that you might need to analyze. And when it comes to analyzing the reason for that procrastination, maybe it's you're taking on clients you don't like, or maybe you're in an area of law that you're unfamiliar with, or you're not really that excited about it, or you're overworked, or you're stressed. Make sure that you're handling those things too, because no technology in the world is going to make you get on top of those deadlines if those are the reasons behind why you might be missing things.
Absolutely. Definitely. All righty. Well, I'm so excited to hand this over to Nefra here in a moment to start with the demo. The technology can help you systematize and pragmatically manage things, as long as your head's in the game and you're excited about what you're doing. So we're excited for you to see this next part. And, I've covered some of this, and I'll just emphasize a few more topics that we haven't talked about. We've got centralized deadlines with calendars that are backed up. So it's not just, on your local computer. You've got people that can see your deadlines that are in your organization covering for you because it's centralized. And you've got that assurance that you're not out there on your own. You've got a team. The ability to get the deadlines into your Outlook or your Google Calendar, I think, is absolutely critical, because it makes it easy for you to carry things with you and see things in different places. And building in a workflow, and it's not just generating the deadlines, it's taking it to the next step and determining who's working on what, and using a system like Rocket Matter to clearly define who's on target for this deadline or that deadline. The ability to organize and track your time, track who did what last, what did you last touch, and combine that all with a system that's basically another set of eyes watching for rule changes and systematically generating, the court rules deadlines, I think is a key factor for success. So you'll see it in the session, but we think of rules-based calendaring as a solution that is automating deadlines based on the rules of procedure. It also allows you to track deadlines that may be a specialty practice area. So depending on your practice area, we are very open to providing more specialty rule sets for firms where there's demand for that. The ability to easily update your calendars for everybody on your team the second it changes is critical. One central place for that matter, everybody's on the same page. Minimizes risks. And the big, most exciting part of this is that insurance companies that are protecting you from that major concern of a missed deadline will give you a discount. When you combine a case management system like Rocket Matter with a rules-based calendaring solution, tracking rule changes with Law Toolbox, you're undoubtedly going to be qualifying for the maximum discount that malpractice providers provide to protect against missed deadlines. So that's a major win for your folks. You know, probably one of the key things that our customers love is the link to the authority, because it's one thing to to type in a date and have it automatically generate your deadlines, but to be able to link right to the authority, whether you're on your phone or looking at your calendar in Rocket Matter and see, oh yeah, that's why this deadline, here's the authority, and this is some additional information on what the court says or the statute says about that. And of course, keeping your back as the courts change the rules from time to time, as we all know. You've got another set of eyes watching for rule changes. Alrighty.
Carolyn, I wanted to ask a quick question about the procedural and custom deadlines. So you mentioned that in addition to the standard rule sets and some of the specialized rule sets, Law Toolbox can also customize deadlines when there's a demand for it. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So what that means is we provide state and federal court rules, and we do some family law rules, and we are starting to get involved in some really interesting types of rules for specialty areas. If there is a market for folks that are needing to, you know, do some special, let's say, construction defect related unique sets of deadlines that apply, or you know, some specialty court in that falls outside of the state or federal court system, reach out and see if this is a rule set that we can post potentially at no charge, or if there might be an additional charge for it. It really depends, but we are very we have spent a great deal of time partnering with our customers and providing the rules that they are looking for, and we have easy templates to fill out to assist you in submitting those types of rule sets to, you know, customize the needs for your firm. So hopefully that answered that question. Was there any additional?
Nope, that was good. Thank you.
Okay, great. So basically what you're going to see is a before and after when you implement the Rocket Matter and Law Toolbox Court Rules calendaring solution. Before, you're manually generating the deadlines, you are manually adding them to the calendar, and you are manually checking for the courts to see if there's any rule changes. With the system that you're about ready to see here, single click to enter a date, another click to get it in people's calendar, and notices when the courts change their rules so that you can automatically reflect those. Over to you, Nessa.
Excellent. Thank you, Carolyn. So we're going to dive into the product here and see how to manage deadlines with Law Toolbox and Rocket Matter. So I am going to take you into the product. So this is the Rocket Matter dashboard. This is what it looks like when you log in, and this is the user's view. So we're logged in as Sally Jones. She is an attorney at this firm, JBH Law, and at her fingertips right now, she has her firm billing, she has her tasks, she has her calendar, the hours she's billed today. She can quickly add a matter and really navigate around to see where all of the firm's matters are from anywhere, because this is cloud-based software. So she can also, like Carol Lynn mentioned, see the firm's calendar. And this calendar is something that you can sync with your Google, your Gmail, or to your Outlook. If you're using Outlook 365, even better, because there's also the web version of that, but the desktop version as well, mobile version. So it's always good to have that redundancy. But in case you needed any sort of reassurance, Rocket Matter does back up all of your data nightly. We have multiple facilities across the US, so we also are doing redundant backups. So your data is pretty safe from, permanent deletion, which is a very, very scary thing when you're managing deadlines. So there's also workflows and task management. We have matter templates where if you're doing complex matters, you can set up matter templates to make sure that certain tasks get accomplished. But you can also manually enter in tasks for any of the matters that you're working on from the task section or from your dashboard. And assign those to other people. You can see what other people have worked on. It's fairly easy. Let's go into our settings section so that I can show you how easy it is to set up the Law Toolbox integration. So we'll go over to the Court Rules section here and click on Settings. And this will ask us to select some jurisdictions. So we're going to put a couple in here. You can put in multiple jurisdictions. So we'll start with California, since that's going to eliminate a lot of stuff for us. And we'll go down to LA County Superior Court Civil. We'll add that one. Then we can go back to California and we can add a federal court. So we'll do U.S. Federal Central and add that one. And maybe we want some California family. And see what comes up here. Let's see, maybe if I just do this one. So we've got some civil, we've got federal, we've got some generic calculators here.
So the family law is up above a little bit. You just scrolled right on past it.
Oh,
so we'll
got really excited and kept scrolling. All right, we'll add this one, Alameda. And then if you're practicing in another state as well, you can add like Arizona State Superior Court. The beauty of this integration is that even though you have multiple rule sets, you can select a default for the main area of your practice. So if the main area, say, is LA County, that's going to be your default rule set. But at any time, if there's a case that you're working on that is in Arizona, you can just type that in and switch it. So you'll go ahead and activate and accept the license agreement with Law Toolbox, and that will save your settings. So you're all set up. So now when you navigate over to your Matters screen, this will bring up your Matters report. It's also going to give you, this is a really important one I want to point out here, the most recent activity. So it'll tell you the open date and the most recent activity. If it's been a long time since there's been any activity on a case, that might be one you want to get back to and make sure you're not missing any deadlines, or see if maybe it's time to close it. So we just went into the Crow forklift accident matter. And on the navigation pane here, we have court rules. So I'll click on court rules, and it'll take us over to the court rule calendaring. There are two tabs. There will be existing rules or add rules. If there are no existing rules, it'll automatically go over to the add rules. And notice that the default that we put in, the LA County rules, were the default. So it'll automatically fill those in for you in jurisdiction. If you did not select a default, you can just start typing the state, and it'll pull up the rule sets that match that state. The next area we want to fill in here is notify the following during rule updates. So what does this mean? If there is a rule update, is there someone at your firm that should get this notification? So that notification will look something like, LA County has just changed their rule on discovery. Would you like to change it in Rocket Matter? Because you may have some open matters with that rule set applied. So that will then take you to the system to be able to update those rules if you need to. So we'll put in Sally here, since she'll want to know. And then to get an extra set of eyes, we'll put her paralegal Sam. So the trigger date. This is going to pull up all of these different trigger dates for LA County. The one that we want to do is the date action commenced. That's the date the complaint is filed. And then we'll say that the complaint was filed today, or the action commenced today. And we click calculate deadlines, and it will give us all of these deadlines. So to be able to configure these rules, you'll need to go into the event details. And the event details will give you the name of the event that will go on your calendar. You can set up reminders to remind the participants minutes, hours, days, or months before the event. Let's just say your standard reminder is going to be 10 days before the event. You may not want to do it for the date the action commenced, but for the other things you can do that. Just something to show you there. And then we're going to add Sam as another attendee on this. You want to have some other eyes. The notes on all of these will have where the rule comes from, any other notes, like it must include mandatory civil cover sheet, certificate of merit, that kind of stuff. So you'll get those notes in there. And then it will also point you to the authority, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to save this event. And let's take a look at rule info. So when you click on one of these, it will take you to the website where, these things come from. So this pointed to a form here, and then this is going to give you the Code of Civil Procedure where this rule came from. So those are really helpful links that are included right in the rule. So to do this in a bulk action, we can go to select event details, toggle all of these on, invoke bulk action, and we can add Sam to all of these. And we'll add him as an attendee. We'll remind the participants 10 days before each event. We click save. And then all of these that were exclamation points turn to check marks so you know all of your rules are configured. And then you add the rules to the calendar. So now that we've added this rule set, say it's a couple months from now and you have your trial date. So this rule is now in the existing rules tab. To add a new rule, we'll go back to the add rules tab. And we'll make sure that Sally and Sam are on there. That's great. And then the new trigger date will be trial. So I'm going to start typing trial, and notice that you can search for trigger dates if you'd like. So we'll click on date of trial, and then we'll make this date sometime in the future. Say we got a November 5th trial date. So November 5th, 2018, we'll calculate the deadlines and look at all of the deadlines that someone would have had to manually put in, research, and add to the calendar. Now this becomes a nightmare when something changes, and I'll show you how easy it is to go ahead and do that. So let's look, for example, at one of these. There's let's see, discovery cutoff. So let's see the rule info on that. So we can go here, and it'll take you to the rule. And then also, if you're looking at the event details, it'll tell you the deadline for any party to complete non-expert discovery proceedings is 30 days before the date initially set for trial in the action. So you're getting some really good information here in the notes section for all of these. So if you did not want to add all of these, you could say you didn't want to disclose via fax, courier, or electronic mail, or you didn't want to do it via snail mail. You can go through and do all of the ones that are by mail because there are other options here. You can go to the bulk actions and go to delete, invoke the bulk action, and it's going to delete the 3 deadlines that we selected. So there are 2 ways that you can work the bulk actions here. So we'll go ahead and configure all of these. Invoke, we'll add Sam, we'll click save. They're all configured. and then we'll add the events to the matter. So it's that simple. We just added 40 plus dates to the calendar with a few clicks, which is awesome. So if something changes, you know how many times a trial date can change. I think Carolyn told me earlier that it's an average of 2.5 times in LA County. So this can get to be so tedious, having to go through the calendar and change 40 events. So to make a change, all you'd have to do is go to the date of trial rule set and click the pencil. This is what the current schedule is. We'll change the date, say it got moved to November 26th. We'll calculate the new deadlines. Yep, and they're all here. We can go through, invoke the bulk action. We can add Sam. Oh, sorry about that. I got a little too excited. There we go. Okay, and we save the event. And then you'll see all of these are now configured. And what happens is it's going to remove the old events and replace them with the new dates. So that's it. You won't have duplicates on the calendar, irrelevant deadlines that can get confusing. So that is all good. And then also you can take a look at these rules too. If, say, your paralegal leaves and that is your accountability person at the firm, you can go in and in a bulk action change that second person to whoever your new paralegal is. Or maybe you brought on an associate to help you work on this case. You can assign some of these deadlines to them as well. Anytime that there is some sort of change, like if you removed the case from state court to federal court, you can go in and delete these deadlines and just add new deadlines for federal court. Or there's also a rule set for when something is removed and some of the things that you have to do in that process. You can go ahead and add those as well. So let's take a look at the matter calendar so that you can see where the rules are. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the month. Here's the date the action commenced. You'll see it here twice because we're looking at Sally and Sam's calendar. So it's going to show up on the matter calendar for anyone that's working on it, whatever they're responsible for. And then we can take a look into the future here because a couple of months before trial, things will pick up. So we can take a look at October, say, yep. And then here are some of those deadlines for the upcoming trial. So you'll see all of those populated for Sam and Sally. So that is the integration. Do you have any questions, Carolyn, or anyone that's listening on the call?
I don't have any questions, but I'm super excited with what you guys have done with this.
Excellent. I'm so glad. All right. So if you guys are interested in getting a deeper dive into Rocket Matter or into this integration, if you're a current customer, you can set up a free trial with Rocket Matter or set up a demonstration. And you can call us at 866-710-1845. And then some questions are coming in now. So I do want to get our email addresses up on the screen so that you can contact us directly. You can contact me at nefra@rocketmatter.com or Carolyn at clg@lawtoolbox.com. Okay. Carolyn, this might be a question for you. Will rules for EEOC of MSPB be included?
So I know we have some EEOC. I don't know what MSB stands for, but I will follow up. Nefra will provide me with that information and we'll get right back to you. Okay. But EEOC is definitely an area for us.
And then can you add a judge's local rules is another question that came in.
Love that question. Most definitely. So this is how we do things at Law Toolbox. So there are across the country, you have rules for this, you know, the general jurisdiction, state court, superior court, circuit court, whatever they call it in your particular state. And On occasion, there are counties, especially we see this in certain parts of the U.S. California is a notable one, where the counties have their own unique sets of deadlines. And a lot of time, whether they're a judge's deadline or whether they're the county-specific deadlines, they are not always going to be deadlines affecting when they're not always going to be judges' rules or county-specific rules that affect when things are due. They are sometimes, and sometimes a judge's rule may be about the font size or the number of pages. Whenever there is a judge or a county-specific need for a specific timeline that is repeatable and is an algorithm that we can plug into our system, if we don't have that judge's rule or that county-specific deadline, it is very easy for us to post those. All it takes, we have a forum where you can request that, and Rocket Matter shoots that right over to us, and we're more than happy to make those available.
Okay, someone's asking, is there a court rule template for your Canadian users? This particular firm is from Manitoba.
So in Canada, we have the federal. Okay, I believe that we are the first to do any kind of rules in Canada, as far as I know, and we have rules for the federal court, and we also have Ontario, and we are actively adding additional rules. So feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to work with you to make those available.
Okay, we're getting a couple of questions from Rocket Matter customers, current Rocket Matter customers, about Law Toolbox pricing. It does vary by the number of users at the firm, correct, Carolyn?
Yes, it does vary based on the number of users. So we have priced the product at a price point where the more users you have, of course, the price goes down. The pricing does apply for the number of licenses you have of Rocket Matter, but you'll be pleasantly surprised to see that pricing drop pretty low when you get into a higher number of users. And even at a single user or two users, it's pretty inexpensive. So also know that there are discounts for the annual upfront pricing plan. So if when you go look at a screen or you're looking, make sure to check not only the monthly pay amount, but the annual upfront. That's also an option for you.
Okay, and if any of you have specific questions about the integration, and if you're current Rocket Matter users, any pricing or anything like that, email success@rocketmatter.com, and that will get you in touch with the customer success team. So your customer success rep will reach out to you directly to get you set up and handle any questions that you have around pricing. Another person asked, do you get training while you're in the free trial? Yes. So we'll walk you through the process of doing the really, really critical things. So if it's specifically having to do with the Law Toolbox integration, we'll show you how to do that. We also have extensive videos on this topic as well. If you go to rocketmatter.com/support, we do have screen steps, and we do have those training videos up on our Vimeo site as well. How long is our free trial? The free trial is 7 days. Let's see. Okay. Can we obtain a copy of this presentation in a PowerPoint format? Yes. So we will be sending the recording and the slides out tomorrow in an email. The slides will be on SlideShare, and I believe you can download those in a PowerPoint format. Alrighty. How does it handle scheduling conflict, is existing and new? That I'll have to get back to you on. I believe it doesn't alert you at this point to anything else that might be on the schedule for a particular day. But that's something that once you get the dates on the calendar, you may have to go through and just verify as of right now. But that's a really good question.
Yeah, and I also don't mind jumping in on that a little bit. I think that when you're trying to figure out your scheduling to see, what is my free time to go schedule a depot? You're going to continue to do that however you do that today. When it comes to the rules-based calendaring, if there's a trial set, even if you'll need to be generating those deadlines and then appealing to the court to see if you can modify that trial.
Right. Okay, well, we have to call and cancel the free trial. That I'm not sure of either. I will have to get back to you on that. I don't think that it's to call and cancel unless you're set up with a credit card in our system. It'll automatically charge you for the first month of your service, but usually your access credentials should just expire. So that's that. Okay, are matter names or client names added to calendar deadlines? These particular deadlines are going to be on your matter calendar. So it'll be on your firm's main calendar, but they will also be on the matter level calendar. So you'll be able to see those matter specific deadlines on the matter calendar as well. All right, folks. Well, I think that's all of the questions that we have for now. If there's anything that we did not get to or that you'd like to ask us in a little bit, email us, nefra@rocketmatter.com, clg@lawtoolbox.com. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you learned some valuable information and that you'll take advantage of the Rocket Matter and lawtoolbox.com integration to help you with missing those deadlines. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a great day.